Adrian Cole had everything money could buy, yet his success had slowly built a wall between him and ordinary people, making him forget that every person carried a story. As he entered the private airport lounge wearing his expensive black suit, Adrian noticed an elderly man quietly waiting nearby with a simple jacket and an old leather bag. The elderly passenger, named Henry Walker, looked peaceful and respectful, but Adrian immediately assumed that someone like him did not belong among the wealthy travelers around him. When they boarded the flight, Adrian found his seat beside Henry and gave a disappointed look, hoping the journey would end quickly without unnecessary conversation between them. Henry smiled politely and said, "I hope we have a comfortable flight today." But Adrian only nodded briefly while focusing on his expensive watch and business messages. Throughout the flight, Henry remained calm and observed the world outside the window, while Adrian continued working, believing success was measured only by money and influence. Adrian noticed Henry reading an old aviation magazine and quietly wondered why such a simple passenger seemed interested in advanced aircraft technology and airline developments. Henry gently mentioned a small detail about the aircraft design, but Adrian ignored his comment, assuming the elderly man could not possibly understand modern aviation. The flight continued smoothly as Adrian prepared for an important business meeting, unaware that the quiet man sitting beside him was connected to a history he never imagined. Henry looked at Adrian and calmly said, "Sometimes the people we overlook are the ones who have changed the world." But Adrian simply smiled without taking the words seriously. Neither man knew that before this journey ended, one announcement from the cockpit would completely change Adrian's opinion and teach him a lesson about true greatness. As the airplane moved higher above the clouds, Adrian remained focused on his business documents while Henry quietly enjoyed the peaceful journey without seeking anyone's attention. Adrian received several important calls through the flight system, proudly discussing his company's success, investments, and achievements, while Henry listened silently from his nearby seat. After ending his calls, Adrian noticed Henry looking at the aircraft controls displayed on the screen and asked, "Are you interested in airplanes?" Henry smiled and replied, "I have always admired the people who create machines that connect lives across the world." But he shared nothing about his own history. Adrian politely smiled, but still believed Henry was simply an old passenger with curiosity, unaware that his assumptions were hiding a remarkable truth. During the flight, a small technical discussion began among the crew members, and Henry calmly offered a suggestion that surprised the nearby staff. The flight attendants thanked Henry for his observation, and Adrian briefly looked confused, wondering how an ordinary traveler could understand such complicated aviation details. Henry noticed Adrian's expression and said, "Knowledge does not always come with expensive clothes or a powerful title," leaving Adrian quietly thinking for a moment. The businessman quickly returned to his work, refusing to accept that a humble stranger could know more than people with years of corporate experience. Meanwhile, inside the cockpit, Captain James Carter reviewed the passenger list and noticed Henry Walker's name, causing him to pause with genuine respect and admiration. The captain prepared to make an announcement after landing, unaware that his simple words would reveal a hidden legacy and completely transform Adrian's view of the elderly passenger. As the flight continued through the sky, Adrian slowly became curious about Henry, because the elderly man carried himself with confidence that did not match his simple appearance. Henry spoke about aviation history, innovation, and human creativity, but he never mentioned his achievements or tried to impress anyone sitting around him. Adrian asked, "Have you worked in aviation before?" And Henry calmly answered, "I spent many years learning from airplanes and the people who build them." The businessman expected a simple answer, but Henry's words showed deep experience, making Adrian wonder why this quiet passenger seemed different from everyone else. Captain James Carter inside the cockpit reviewed the final passenger details and prepared a special announcement that had been planned before the journey began. The crew members exchanged respectful smiles as they remembered Henry's contributions to aviation, while Adrian remained completely unaware of the history sitting beside him. During the final minutes of the flight, Henry looked outside the window and softly said, "Every journey begins with people who believe impossible things can happen." Adrian heard those words, but still struggled to understand the meaning behind them, because his mind was focused only on business and personal success. As the aircraft began descending, the passengers prepared for arrival, while a mysterious feeling spread through the cabin about something unexpected waiting ahead. Henry remained calm in his seat, knowing that soon everyone would discover the truth behind his quiet personality and the legacy he had carefully carried for decades. Adrian closed his laptop and looked toward Henry with a little more respect, unaware that the next few minutes would completely change his understanding of greatness. As the aircraft touched the runway, passengers prepared to leave, but Captain James Carter remained inside the cockpit, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal the truth about Henry Walker. Adrian gathered his belongings and stood beside Henry, feeling slightly different than before, because the elderly passenger's calm confidence had started challenging his previous assumptions. The cabin crew politely asked everyone to remain seated for a special announcement, and Adrian looked around with curiosity, wondering why this ordinary flight suddenly felt important. Captain Carter's voice came through the speakers, saying they had a special guest on board whose remarkable work had shaped modern aviation and inspired countless professionals around the world. Adrian listened carefully as the pilot continued speaking about a visionary engineer who dedicated his life to creating safer and more advanced aircraft for future generations. Henry remained silent beside Adrian, watching the reactions of passengers, while the businessman slowly realized that the announcement was connected to the quiet man beside him. The captain finally announced, "We are honored to have Mr. Henry Walker with us today, the legendary aviation pioneer whose ideas transformed the industry forever." Today's shock filled Adrian's expression as he looked at Henry again, realizing that the person he had underestimated was someone respected across the entire aviation world. In silence, Henry simply smiled and thanked the captain, showing the same humility he had displayed from the beginning, proving that true greatness never needs to demand attention. Forever. Adrian felt a wave of regret as he remembered his first impression of Henry, understanding that appearances had hidden a story far greater than he ever imagined during that unforgettable journey. Adrian stood quietly after the announcement, feeling embarrassed by how quickly he had judged Henry without knowing anything about his remarkable journey and achievements. He approached Henry and sincerely said, "I owe you an apology because I measured your worth by appearance instead of understanding the person you truly are." Henry smiled warmly and replied, The greatest lessons in life often come from people we never expected to teach us anything, leaving Adrian deeply moved. The two men walked through the airport together, and Adrian listened carefully as Henry shared stories about dedication, patience, failures, and the importance of helping others. From that day forward, Adrian changed the way he treated people, realizing that every person deserved respect regardless of their clothes, position, or financial status. Henry continued inspiring others with his humility, while Adrian used his influence to create opportunities and support people whose talents were often overlooked. Years later, Adrian remembered that flight as the moment when he discovered a truth more valuable than any business achievement he had ever earned. The journey taught Adrian that real success is not measured by wealth or titles, but by the kindness, respect, and humanity we show toward every person we meet. Never judge someone by their appearance, because behind a simple face may exist a lifetime of wisdom, sacrifice, and greatness waiting to be discovered. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments about the lesson you learned today.